Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. And coming up, I got 5 burning Raiders questions entering their Week 6 game against the New England Patriots. I mean, let's face it. After a big-time win on Monday Night Football against the Green Bay Packers, where we got to win 17-13, there's a lot of Raider fans still wondering. And to me, the 5 questions that you're about to see here are the top 5 trending questions that are circulating right now in Raider Nation's mind. The first one to me is, will Jimmy Garoppolo clean it up this season? Because Jimmy G was a QB that I never expected to go out there and throw for 300 yards. He was never a QB that I expected to go out there and sling for 30 touchdowns. But you know what I did expect from Jimmy G? Clean football. I expected him to not turn it over. I expected him to be able to get our running game going. I expected him to be able to do everything that it takes to execute a Josh McDaniels offense, because that's what McDaniels wanted, right? He wanted his quarterback to be able to fit his system. The problem is right now, it looks like this offense, Jimmy Garoppolo looks like a total square, and they're trying to fit him into a triangle hole. It is super frustrating to watch Jimmy Garoppolo and Josh McDaniels try to get this offense together. But here's the breaking news. The Raiders can win football games. The way that their defense is played, they can win a lot more. And honestly, the fact that they're only 2-3 right now, considering the fact of how well this defense is played, that falls on this guy right here. It falls on the shoulders of Jimmy Garoppolo. It falls on your shoulders of your head coach. Jimmy, you lead the NFL in interceptions right now, and you even missed a game. If you don't clean it up, I don't know how the Raiders can continue to throw out noodle arm Garoppolo, because he is really hard to watch. And I ripped on DC last year, and I've always said that DC's not a top 10 QB. He's not a top 15 QB. Well, I'm going to look at all y'all in the eyes right now and tell you, Jimmy Garoppolo is not a top 10, not top 15, not top 20. I don't think Jimmy G is a top 25 quarterback in the NFL the way that he has played this season. And it sucks because this team has so much talent offensively. The problem? Right here, and the head coach. So my question to you right now is this. Garoppolo has 7 interceptions. How many INTs will Jimmy G throw this season? This is going to be the pinned comment. This is going to be the top question that I want every single person that comes across this show to answer. I hope that it's 14 or less. And it needs to be 14 or less. Because right now where he's trending for over 30 interceptions. And if that happens, the Raiders will not win many football games. Let's go to question number 2 here on the show. Will Josh McDaniels unlock this Raiders offense? You got Devontae Adams. You got Jacoby Myers. You got Michael Mayer, Hunter Renfrow, Trey Tucker. Right now your offensive line's been playing pretty damn solid as well. And you got one of the best running backs in the league in Josh Jacobs. And as it stands, you have one of the worst offenses in the entire league. When the Raiders hired Josh McDaniels, they were expecting him to be able to get this offense going. When you consider the fact of how much money they had this offseason in the draft and in free agency, and how much money they dedicated to the offensive side of the football, I mean, I was expecting a top 10 offense at worst. You're telling me right now, with all the weapons that I just mentioned to you, our total yards, we are 29th in the league. Passing yards per game, 17th. Rushing yards per game, last. Points per game, tied for 30th. And then giveaways, second to last. This Raiders team offensively is really, really difficult to watch. And it's difficult to watch because you got a quarterback that can't throw the football further than 40 yards. And then you got an offensive-minded guru who thinks that he's got this God complex and just thinks that everything that he does is the smartest thing out there. Here's the problem. The offense will not get better unless you start doing some different things with your play calling, because the play calling right now for McDaniels, it sucks to watch. It is a brutal, brutal offense. It kind of reminds me, I'm not going to lie to you, I've gone out and watched some high school football games, and I've been watching a little bit more college this season. It looks like a bad college offense. It looks like an offense that a team like Northwestern would run. It looks like an offense that a Big Ten school would run, like Iowa. It sucks. It looks like a shitty college offense, and that's what McDaniel's going out there. You got to be more creative. You got to mix it up, because if you're going to sit there and run plain chicken type of team or a plain chicken style of recipe, and then you have a quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo who's got no seasoning himself, you're going to drive this fan base nuts, especially because of how well this defense is played, especially because people didn't want Josh McDaniels. People didn't want Jimmy Garoppolo. You're supposed to be the offensive guru. It's time to wake it the hell up. And now you're going up against your old team, so you better do it this week. Speaking of seasoning, I love Factor meals, man. This food tastes incredible, and this place, man, saved my booty after our Monday Night Football game because I got home, had a few drinks in me, and, man, I needed something healthy, and I needed something quick and easy, and luckily, I had a Factor meal waiting for me when I got home. So if you guys haven't already, if you've never started, go to factormeals.com/RaidersChat50 and use code RaidersChat50 to get 50% off. This October, get Factor and enjoy eating well without the hassle. Simply choose your meals and enjoy fresh, flavor-packed meals delivered to your door. Ready in just 2 minutes, no prep, no mess. That's code RaidersChat50 at factormeals.com/RaidersChat50 to get 50% off. What I love about these meals is you can pick your pre-made meals. You get a bunch of different selections, and like it is October. I am a total basic Mitch. I'm going to be honest with you guys. And when it's the fall, I like to eat food that's got pumpkin in it. I like to eat fall-based stuff, and that's what Factor does. Like you can get different meals every single month, every single season. It makes it super fresh and easy to do. So again, the link's going to be available to you guys down in the comments and in the description. It's factormeals.com/RaidersChat50. Let's go to my third burning question here. Have Tyler Hall and Amik Robertson earned more playing time? I know that Raider fans were nervous, and I'm still nervous because I don't know what's going to happen with Nate Hobbs. And, I do really, truly believe that a lot of Raider fans love Nate Hobbs, but you also have to be able to consider it from the other side of it where Hobbs has never really been able to stay healthy throughout the majority of the season. Think about how much Raider fans ripped on Jimmy G. No, Jimmy G can't stay healthy. I mean, Nate Hobbs is starting to get in that exact same conversation where you know that he can be a good player, but if you don't have availability, you're not going to have chemistry. And over the last 6 quarters that I have seen this team play, they've played really, really good football. And, the Raiders' defense was phenomenal against the Packers. I mean, when you give up only 13 points, they had a lot of pressure. But one of the guys that's not getting nearly enough credit is Tyler Hall. He had an overall grade of 85.4, a run defense grade of 64.4. He tackled well at 77.8, and then it's that coverage grade, 87.0. This was a player that they loved, that they re-signed in the middle of last season, and he's been on the practice squad. He got promoted this past week. He stepped up big time, and I mean big time for Nate Hobbs, and what more could you ask for? I mean, I'm telling you right now, dude played 30 snaps. He deserves to play 30 more snaps. The way that this Raiders defense is played, Tyler Hall deserves more snaps. I don't think that's very hard to argue. Another guy that to me deserves more snaps is Amik Robertson. 4 tackles, the big game-sealing interception, and the pass breakup. But what I love about Amik, and I think guys like Amik help out a defense. They help out a locker room because he's contagious. He's the dude that he's going to go out there. He has that chip on his shoulder. He goes out there and he's a dog. And you know what? Sometimes you need some dogs in your locker room. Sometimes you need a few dogs out on the field, and that's what Amik is. He's not a very tall player, and once in a while he's going to get beat because he doesn't have the physical gifts. But you know what Amik has that does not get put out there on a stat sheet? Something that Amik has that simply not a lot of players have, and it's what makes guys different: a heart. And Amik's got the biggest freaking heart on that Raiders defense, and when he goes out there and plays, he gives you 110%, and he did that yet again. And I think that's one of those little details. If you're wondering why has this Raiders defense really turned it up over the past 2 games, here you go. His name's Amik Robertson, and to me, he does deserve a lot more playing time. But when you talk about Amik, when you talk about Tyler Hall, to me, the number one name that comes to my mind, and he was inactive this past week, still battling a little bit of an injury, and that's just what it is. McDaniels has not really talked about it much, but he missed this past game more because Jakorian's been battling a little bit of an injury. But what's your confidence level in Bennett, the rookie out of Maryland? He's been getting the starts, but to me, Tyler Hall's outplayed him. Amik Robertson's outplayed him, and I get it. There's going to be some ups and downs as a rookie, and that's going to come. But right now, you have an opportunity to go back to 500 here, and if Jakorian Bennett's healthy, I'm sorry, I feel more confident right now in Amik Robertson. I feel more confident in Tyler Hall, and Jakorian's going to get his time. At least that's the hope. But right now, if you're answering this scale to 1 to 10, and if, in my opinion, if it's 4 or below, you got to keep rolling out there with Tyler Hall. You got to keep rolling out there with the guys who have helped your defense look really, really good. For me personally, I am right now. I'm at about a 4 with Jakorian Bennett, but it's more because I believe in what Tyler Hall and Amik Robertson did, and I believe if guys are out there playing their dick off, you go out there and you put them in the game a little bit more. Let's go to question number 4 here. Are the Raiders going to trade or sign an edge to replace Chandler Jones? There's been some reports out there from Deanna Rossini that says that the Raiders have made some phone calls that they potentially could do a player-for-player type of trade, and they need to add another guy to replace Chandler Jones. You can't expect a guy like Jones to make the impact on your team and then not try to replace him at all. Now, if you follow Chandler on Twitter, he still thinks that he plays for the Raiders, and he still thinks that he has a shot to come back to play for the Raiders. Here's the thing. Chandler Jones is never going to play in the NFL again. He's done, and I don't want people to ask me if they should bring him back. The answer is no. He should never play in the NFL again. Here are some trade targets, though, that the Raiders could look at if you want to go out and add somebody on the defensive line, whether it be defensive tackle or defensive end. I know some big names out there like a Brian Burns, Danielle Hunter, Chase Young, Leonard Williams, man. You make a trade like that, man, we are going live for a very, very long time. And then there's some other free agent targets out there. To me, the top 3 names, if you really want to replace Chandler Jones, Melvin Ingram, Carlos Dunlap, and Robert Quinn. I'm actually pretty surprised that both Melvin Ingram and Carlos Dunlap are still out there on the free agency wire because they could help out multiple teams. And if I'm the Raiders, you have connections with Melvin Ingram, Carlos Dunlap, and Ingram. Both have played in the AFC West. Robert Quinn has worked with Champ Kelly before. I don't understand why these phone calls haven't been made because the Raiders could use these guys. Yes, Malcolm Kuntz has stepped up. Yes, I think Tyree Wilson deserves a lot more credit than what he's getting, but you still need to be able to go out and add an edge. The final burning question here on the Raiders Report, sponsored by Factor, is Thayer Munford going to be the new Raiders starting right tackle? And I know yesterday, Jermaine Illuminor, there was a sack that happened on Jimmy Garoppolo, and then Illuminor ended up going to the bench. I want to say that he played in maybe like 16, 17 snaps. It happened a little bit early on in this season. When you look at the numbers, I mean, Illuminor has struggled. I mean, that's my guy right there, and I'm not afraid to, call him out. And I guarantee you this, if Illuminor was up on the show right now, hopefully he'd have a little bit more clothes on than when he had his interview here. But he would even look at the camera and say, I need to clean it up. He wanted to clean up the penalties. He's got 2 this season. He's given up 5 sacks. Again, most of them came against Khalil Mack and the Los Angeles Chargers, but Jermaine Illuminor needs to clean it up. So what did I do today? Today, I texted Jermaine, and I asked him, hey, man, what's the lowdown here? And I said, what's going on? Are you hurt? Are you getting benched? What happened? And he told me that the only reason why he got put on the bench was because that he's a little bit banged up. And I quote, I'll be Gucci for Sunday. Also, talking to Jermaine, he was very motivated. I mean, he's going up against his old team. Remember, he was a New England Patriot. He wants to beat those guys. And if he's 100% healthy, from what I understand from my conversation with Jermaine today, the expectation is Jermaine Illuminor will still be the right tackle. However, and this is, the hard part about family. Jermaine, he's probably my best friend that's on that Raiders team right now. But if Thayer Munford gives you a better chance to win, the Raiders have to consider putting their younger player out there, and he's played well as well. 87 snaps, an overall grade of 73.5, a pass blocking grade of 65.3, and a run blocking grade of 73.2. I'll also say, Jermaine was the highest graded player on the Las Vegas Raiders from yesterday on offense. So, Jermaine, I thought played well when he was in the game. Yeah, he had that bad sack, which kind of, led to him getting, at the time, I thought he got benched. I didn't realize that he's been battling an injury, but he's been battling this little bit of a nagging injury for quite some time. I know a few weeks ago I talked about it as well. Will he miss the Week 1 game? He's okay. He expects to go out there and play. And as it stands right now, according to Jermaine Illuminor, he still anticipates to be the starting right tackle for the Raiders when they play the New England Patriots on Sunday. If you want to stay up to date with even more around the Raiders, Twitter, Instagram, I'm at MitchellRens365. I do my best here to make sure that you guys know everything that's going on with this team. This is a family to me. This is a lot more than just a YouTube channel. This is an amazing community that we've been able to build, and the only way that continues to grow and grow is with the entire nation there. So if you feel like hey, you need more information, tell your friends, tell your family members. I know this guy, Mitchell Renz, he's good on YouTube, but he's also a good follow as well for social media.